Hey everyone, it's certainly been a while. I hope that you can forgive me for the lack of videos. As of late, it's definitely been a good little bit since I've last had a video to share with you guys here on Joe Does Stuff. But trust when I tell you, it's for good reason. One of the last things that I had shared with you was the prospect of me potentially getting a job. Well, fast forward to where I am right now. It's Saturday morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I have just completed my 4th week working that job. I did, in fact, get the project manager position. And where do I even begin? It has been an adventure, a journey, to say the least. I went into this feeling like I had so much to bring to the table: the gusto, the work ethic, the drive, the determination, the desire to help a much larger company than my painting and repairs business ever was. And I also mentioned when I first got the opportunity to meet with the owner of this company that I felt like one of my weaknesses would be bidding jobs. Well, fast forward to where we are here today after about a month on that job. And bidding jobs does not seem to be my weakness. I'm actually pretty good at doing so, and I've done so quite a bit in these 4 weeks that I've been working this job. If I had to look at it now and say what my weakness is, given being on this job for a couple of weeks, it would probably be that I am, a little too... Well, let me just share with you what's been told to me by 2 different people. A little too passionate, maybe a tad bit on the high-strung side, if not completely unhinged. And sometimes I need to throttle back. I need to stay in my lane and recognize that I work for somebody else and and it's their business. I share those things because in the 4 weeks that I've been on this job, 3 different times I have been told to throttle back, and I take that on the chin. Wasn't really sure how I would respond to criticism, given the fact that it has been so long since I've worked for somebody. And again, granted, with my painting and repairs business, the customers were who I worked for, and there would be criticism that would come from them. But this is totally different because this is a boss, this is an employer. And it for whatever reason, that just hits differently. But I was a little concerned how I would take that criticism. And I've tried, to just grin and bear it, maybe. And understand that, rightfully so. I'll share a couple of things, and then I'm going to share some more stuff. So my second day on the job, I got to tell you about this. This is kind of wild. I got to have a conversation with the owner of the company, and I was telling him all sorts of things that I saw that could be improved upon. I don't want it to come across, and I didn't want it to come across as I was saying that there were all sorts of things that were wrong, because they weren't wrong. They were just things that could be improved upon, especially in regards to making better profit margins. I know the game very well, what this company that I work for is involved with, which is apartment work, except they are on a much larger level than I ever was. But I do know the game very well. I do know the companies very well, especially here in my local area. And whether we're talking about my local area or nationwide, it's all the same no matter what. And that has only been made more apparent to me given the fact that I'm in the role that I'm in now. But on my second day, I was trying to explain to the owner that a couple of suggestions, good advice, whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't received that way. And, the owner was, telling me, hey, look, man, you've only been here for a day. You've only been here for 1 day. You need to throttle back. And I did. I realized, you're right. It's only been 1 day. So that's, one example of that. And, there would be 2 other times where I was told the same thing for different scenarios, but grain of salt is what it is. These 4 weeks have been challenging. Boy, they've been challenging. This company does a lot. I mean, they do a lot. They have a lot going on. They've got a lot of manpower, but still it's a lot. As a project manager, it's a lot. Another conversation that I'll share with you, I was talking with somebody and they had said, the project manager role is not for everybody. They said it takes a certain kind of a person to be a project manager because when things don't go right, who's it going to fall on? It's going to fall on the project manager. And that is absolutely true. And there's been a few times where I haven't been able to provide the answers that are going to be satisfactory toward either the company or toward the customer. And even trying to do the absolute most that I can possibly do, even going so far as to go out there and do work my damn self when needed. Sometimes you're still going to be in situations where the answers to the questions are not going to be ones that are desired. So, that has been a thing because I do not believe that I am a perfectionist, even though I try to be. So when things don't go right, of course, I'm not happy about that because I know that my boss and the customer is not going to be happy about that. But those times are far and few between. Some other things I'll share about just yesterday, for example. Yesterday was Friday. It started out as a relatively lax day for me. I didn't really have a whole hell of a lot going on yesterday. There were a couple of little things that I needed to check on, and I was able to do so with that pretty quickly. There was one issue that needed to be resolved, and that was seeming to be getting rectified pretty quickly. So I didn't have to deal with anything in regards to that. So I basically had, and then we were down one particular guy who I was going to be utilizing to finish up one or two different jobs that were pretty close to completion. But because of the fact that we didn't have this guy yesterday, he was sick, I took it upon myself. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to at least get one of these jobs done. And I knew that it was going to be a little challenging just being one person out there. I didn't realize how challenging it was going to be. But yesterday, I literally got my ass kicked out here doing some pretty tough work for one person to do. I had to move some mailboxes. It was 5 mailboxes. It was a set of mailboxes all in a row. I filmed a vlog about this, and here I go just telling you about it. But I need to have this video to let you know about upcoming content and the fact that I am returning here to Joe Does Stuff, and I do want to be able to share with you guys some of what I do on a daily basis within reason to not, put out the business of the company that I work for or anything like that. But I need the content. My employer watches these videos. There's other people who watch these videos. So I do have to be mindful of what I'm sharing. When I had my painting business and my business and also doing social media, especially Joe Does Stuff, this was actually a conversation that I had with the owner prior to beginning working with him. I said, hey, look, I don't know how much of my content you've actually seen. I know that you've seen some videos, but I need you to know this, and this may actually be a little bit of a letdown to y'all hearing me say this, but when it came to my painting business, especially toward the end when I realized that we were just losing work and all of our work due to pricing, in the end, that's what it was. It was just pricing where we were losing work, all of our work from. All I wanted to showcase was the shit show. I knew that that was good for views. Yeah, so that was actually, in the end, my biggest reason for wanting to keep the painting business going, even when, all signs were pointing toward possibly it's time to just shut it down. And the biggest sign was the financial side and sign. But I said to this owner, before I even started working here, I said, look, I don't know how much of my content that you have seen, but I need to let you know that a lot of that stuff was just, we tried to, I don't want to say like fake anything because, we're not faking it, but we definitely focused more on the calamity of it. Like, oh my God, here's what's going wrong. People want to see the train wreck more than they want to see the success. And that's evident by the shorts that you watch in the construction field. You think these people are doing this shit for real? I mean, some of them probably are, but a lot of them are probably just doing it for the views, painting like shit, doing all of these extra unnecessary steps because they know the engagement is going to be there. And it's more so going to be there from them doing cockamamie work than good work. And then when you try to showcase good work, everybody is a freaking city inspector. They know, why are you doing it like that? You need to do it like this. Everybody's a professional everything. So again, I do want to start sharing with you some of my day-to-day. I have no choice. I have to do that. I have to be able to do this job that I have and still do my video content because I need both. And because I do both. And I've done the content for a long time. I'm not trying to justify it. I kind of feel like I might be in case my boss is watching this, which they absolutely will. But just know that I won't put out anything that's going to be detrimental. And I would never do that because there is nothing that's detrimental. So getting back to this work that I was doing yesterday, I'm out here on a mailbox moving job. Now, we've already poured a concrete slab to move these mailboxes to, and we've had a string of really bad weather this past week. It's been raining almost every day. It's raining today. It was sunny yesterday, and it's supposed to rain like almost every single day this upcoming week. And we got a lot of work going on that's outside work where that's going to be impacted because of the weather. We're down a guy yesterday. He's sick. I said, you know what? I'm going to take it upon myself. I'm just going to go out here and do this mailbox job. I mean, I've got the tools. I know what needs to be done. These mailboxes were sitting on an existing concrete pad that had been all bowed and broken because of massive tree roots right behind it. So the moving of these mailboxes needed to happen. These things were anchored into the concrete with bolts, and they were rusted to shit. So I knew that I was going to need a angle grinder, which I had, and some metal discs, which I went and got to cut these bolts out because there was no way I was going to fight with these things trying to get them undone. I get the angle grinder. I've got my 20 volt DeWalt everything out here. I've got 5 batteries, but I don't even have a freaking single battery that is fully charged. The best that I've got is a half-charged battery, maybe one small charged battery. The short of it is that as I started cutting out these bolts, batteries were getting depleted quicker than I could get charge on them. I got like 3 or 2.5 of the mailboxes out, but that took me like 2 hours because of the battery charging situation. There was a Home Depot that was pretty close by. So I looked up, a cheap corded angle grinder. There was a Ryobi one for $49.99. I was like, bet I'm going to go get this. I go get that thing. When I go into the store to get it, tell me why on the shelf this thing is listed for $69.99. I didn't even think about it. I grab it. And it's the same exact one. I get up to the cash register and I just show them the online thing. I'm like, hey, look, price match this. Here's the price online for $49.99. You've got it on your shelves for $69.99. That shit ain't right. And the first lady that was ringing me up was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. But then the other lady stepped in and she was like, oh, no, sir, unfortunately, we can't do that. I said, why not? What you mean you can't price match? Everybody price matches. Home Depot, you telling me you don't price match? She said, sir, if you want the online price, the only way that you can get that is you've got to order the item online, then come pick it up from the store. Or you can go over to customer service and they're going to call a manager and get them to price match it. I said, are you kidding? Right here, it says $49.99 and in the store, it's $69.99. I'm going to pay a whole ass $20 more for something y'all really trying to sell for $49.99. I walked out of there with that thing at $49.99. Yeah, I did. $51 to be exact after tax because the first lady just disregarded all that shit. Yeah, man. And they'll tell you these things, but you'll learn from life that people will just tell you anything. Why I got to walk all the way across the store to save $20? Why can't we just do that right here? Why do we need a manager? You're clearly looking at the SKU number. It's the same, right? Anyway, so get the angle grinder, get back onto the job, no problem. I cut all of these bolts. I've already started moving these mailboxes. And mind you, I could tell initially that they weren't going to be too heavy. But that initial observation was not 100% accurate because these mailboxes did have a little bit of weight to them. I'd like to believe they probably weighed about 100 pounds apiece, which ain't too bad. However, they're so damn big that you can't, it's almost like trying to carry a refrigerator by yourself. You can't get your arms all the way around this to really get good leverage on this. So I start trying to walk the first mailbox over to the other pad, and that's counterproductive AF. So I go into the office. I said, hey, you guys got a dolly that you use to move appliances? They did. They gave me the dolly. That made that part of the job easy peasy. So now I've got all of the mailboxes moved. I've got them all lined up. But the problem is these mailboxes are all out of whack. No matter, they're just so old and crazy. But you're trying to get them in line, but some of them, they're just not lining up the way that they should, even though everything is measured off 10 inches from the concrete. You know, like I'm doing everything I can to keep these things in order. So I'm on to the next step after moving these things. By this point, I'm probably depleted down to about like 50%. My own personal internal 20-volt DeWalt battery. I'm at about 50%. So now I got to start drilling into the concrete with a concrete drill bit. And I got to put in these 1/2-inch anchors that hold on to the concrete as you tighten the anchors, the nuts on the anchors. So I'm drilling into the concrete based off of where the holes are at. I mark off the first 3. I move the mailboxes. I start drilling down into the concrete. This is starting to whoop my ass just a little bit because I'm moving these mailboxes a few different times at this point. I've been angle grinding for a few hours at this point. And now I got to bury this drill down into the concrete. And I mean, I'm putting the full force of my fat ass on this drill. And it's, it's starting to take a toll on me. So I'm probably down to about 40% on my battery, right? I put the anchors into the concrete for the first mailbox. And then I got to lift this heavy ass mailbox over top of these anchors and get it into position. I do so. The first one goes on relatively easy. I'm down to about 30% on my internal battery. I do the second one. And I'm getting the second one, but it's so tight in between the mailboxes because I got the first one set and the third one's right there. And I'm trying to get the second one in. And would you believe it? For whatever reason, after even marking the holes, the damn anchors that I've already hammered into the concrete, they're not lining up. One, I guess, is not lining up, and I'm fighting this thing for 10, 15 minutes. There's people walking by. I'm looking crazy. I got a collared shirt on. I'm a project manager. What the hell am I out here doing? Yeah, so anyways, I'm fighting this mailbox. It's not going on. I finally just say, I move it back because it's just not going to work. I can't do this. I'm feeling like it's just not going to work. So now I'm like, oh shit, I've done hammered these anchors into the concrete. Can you get these out once they're in, folks? Let me tell you, you cannot. I'm beating these things, trying to get them out. They're not budging at all. I was able to get one out miraculously because the gods were with me. It was that one that came out that made this particular mailbox get onto these other 3. So with that done, I thought to myself, okay, no problem. All I've got to do is just re-drill into the concrete to make this 4th anchor fit. No big deal. It was only off by just a little bit for whatever reason. I don't even know how that happened. But fighting with that second mailbox depleted me down to next to nothing. I'm probably at like 5% at this. So I got smart. With the third mailbox, I move it, I drill into the ground, and then I move the mailbox back over the holes. And then I put the anchors in without having to lift the mailbox and put them on top of the screw. That made the rest of the job easier. But again, by this point, man, I am gassed out here. I did get the job completed, but at what cost? I am sore as shit today. And yeah.
That's where the old mailboxes used to be. That's where the mailboxes are now. Man, let me tell you, that shit, hey, that shit whooped my ass. Right there, look at the blood. Look at that. Blood everywhere, everywhere. Concrete, steel, grinding. I probably got so many freaking metal shards in my lungs from today. Y'all remember when I be talking about those coffin fits till I pass out? Oh, I'm due for one of those after all of this.
Just wanted to share that story. So if you ever have to do concrete anchors, I don't have any experience with them, but you know, you can learn quickly from YouTube. Keep in mind that sometimes it's easier to drill the holes and then put whatever you're going to anchor in place and then put the anchor through the concrete and then hammer away at it just to make sure that your holes line up, especially if you're doing something as big and awkward and bulky as freaking mailboxes. So every day is a learning experience. And just wanted to share that with you. I think the story actually came out better than the vlog footage. So while I was out there doing the job, you know, my hands and knuckles, they look better today, but man, I got all these freaking cuts and scrapes all over my hands from ratcheting right on top of the concrete, knuckles grinding on the concrete, no gloves. Joe is straight muscle blocking this shit out there. You know, sometimes you can get into a job and, you know, a little bit of anxiety can creep in like, oh my God, why did I start this? Will I be able to complete this today? And I found myself in that situation numerous times throughout life. Yesterday really didn't give me any anxiety. I was getting aggravated with the battery situation because I only had one battery charger. I don't know where the rest of mine are. They're probably in a storage unit or in my basement or in a guy's car. And speaking of a guy, that guy in particular that I'm talking about who was sick yesterday is actually going to sound familiar when I tell you it's my top guy from my painting business. I actually brought him along on this ride and adventure as well too. So now he's an employee of this company. And that was a solid that I felt like I could do, wanted to do, would be beneficial for both my employer and for the guy Gene, who is my top guy. And yeah, man, that's about it. My days are chock full of proposals and looking at work and, you know, outlining work, making sure that work is getting done, overseeing work, checking on work, helping to get materials if we need them, like last minute deals. We've had a couple of those that have come up, but it's a lot. Not going to lie. When I look at my business versus this business and where did my business go wrong versus this particular business, like how are they doing it so right and I did it so wrong? It's a question that I have a few ideas of the answers to. I won't go too deep into that, but one thing that I will say that is much different from this business versus my business is that their connections are way deeper than mine ever were. You know, when I was out there trying to sell work or get work, I was only dealing with the surface level, which would be your property managers and your maintenance supervisors. And they really, in most cases, don't have a lot of say-so. It's got to come from a higher up, whether that be a regional manager or somebody even higher than that, who really pulls the strings in terms of what's going on. And this company has those type of connections, whereas I did not. So when I would go and try to sell work and I'm talking to property managers and maintenance supervisors, those conversations were ultimately in a lot of regard, and granted, all of the work that I got mostly came from meeting those people, not all of the work, because again, it is all about who you know. And well, because my wife is in the industry and she is really high up with her position, you know, she had a lot of connections that got me in the door for a lot of places. So anytime that I was going out trying to do it on my own, the chances of success from that were probably like 70-30. 30% chance that it was going to work out and we would get some work from it, and a 70% chance that as soon as you left and you had provided pricing information for people, they just ball that shit up and Kobe straight to the trash can. Yeah, sounds good. Since getting this job, here's one final thing that I'll share with you guys, and I'm going to wrap this up. We've gone to a couple of different properties where I actually used to do work at. And it's been interesting going back to those places, running into the same old people who I used to work for and with when I had my business and now working for somebody else. And all of those returns were welcome returns. Like they were like, damn, hey, Joe, what's going on? Good to see you. Sorry it didn't work out, whether that was due to pricing or one particular situation. I just stopped working with the property because it was just way too much for me to keep up with. And at one particular property that we went to, this was kind of interesting. One of the people there was like, damn, Joe, I just saw you like not too long ago. And I said, oh, shit, where'd you see me at? Because I don't remember seeing you. They said, I saw you on YouTube. And I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's cool. That's something else that I do as well. And hell, going back to the mailbox job, I'm out there, blood, sweat, and tears on this thing yesterday. And this guy walks past me. He's like, holy shit, Joe, I'm subscribed to you. And I think his name was Lonnie, yeah. So shout out to Lonnie. Lonnie's actually looking for work. And I was like, hey, come on, man, because we got plenty of it over here. Real quick, as I wrap this up, I want to say this. I've been giving this my all. Again, that's the reason why there haven't been any videos. I do want to be able to share with you guys my day-to-day. Come with me as we explore what it's like to be a project manager within reason, not showcasing anything, not putting my company out there, not putting anything out there that doesn't need to be out there because this is not my business. This is theirs. I do want to do that. I need to do that. I like to believe that things are going well, that this company is recognizing what I bring to the table, and I hope that it works out. But I also question at the same time, what if it doesn't work out? Because there is a potential that it might not. And also, maybe do they feel the same way about me that I feel about me in terms of how I've been performing? And, that's a question that I don't have an answer for. What if they feel like I'm not doing a great job? I got to be doing a great job. Every single day I'm doing the utmost. I even put together an email every single morning talking about my day previous and every single thing from the day previous, all sorts of notes and information. I do that every day. And that's not even been expected of me. That's just something that I've done. And I think that that's been appreciated and helpful. But you never know. I'm giving this my all. The fries are going into the bag at a rapid pace. And I'm hopeful that the future will be bright, no matter what it is, whether it's, I don't want to keep saying things that make it feel like, this ain't it. I hope that this is it, but it's to be determined. So just wanted to share this with you guys. Again, sorry it's been so long. It's my hope to get back and share videos with you guys and do so more frequently. I hope that you appreciate the fact that I'm out here trying to work as hard as I possibly can, and I have taken this opportunity and I've ran with it at 1,000 miles an hour. And I'll wrap it up on that note and look forward to sharing more with you just as soon as I can. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for allowing me to share, and I'll look forward to sharing more with you real soon. Until then, take care.